Okay, let's talk about something that is so fundamental to how we experience life, but honestly is super misunderstood. And that's self-esteem. It's way more than just a buzzword you hear all the time. It is literally the foundation for how we navigate the world. So, what is it, really? And more importantly, how do we get more of it? Let's dive in. Right off the bat, I want to share this incredible idea from the author Nathaniel Branden. He says to think of positive self-esteem as the immune system of consciousness. And you know what? That one metaphor just changes everything. We're not talking about just feeling good about yourself. No, we're talking about a core psychological function, something that gives us resistance, strength, and the ability to bounce back. Think about it. Your body's immune system is what fights off germs and viruses, right? Well, this immune system of consciousness works the exact same way. It's what determines how you handle everything life decides to throw at you. It's what gives you the grit to get back up after a failure, a setback, or a big disappointment. So, that raises a really important question. What happens when that system is weak, when it's running on empty? Well, just like with a weak physical immune system, we become psychologically vulnerable. And that shows up in some really specific and, let's be honest, often destructive ways. When this internal defense is low, you might notice yourself giving up at the very first sign of trouble, or maybe you find yourself always sticking to what's safe and familiar instead of reaching for what you actually want. It can even go deeper, manifesting as this nagging fear that you aren't really worthy of happiness or love. And that can lead straight to self-sabotage, often without you even realizing it's happening. And this brings us to the real trap, the really sneaky part of low self-esteem. It's a vicious cycle. And it has a name, the self-fulfilling prophecy. So what is that? Basically, it means our deep down subconscious beliefs about what we're capable of, what we think we deserve, they start to control our actions. We end up acting in ways that make our worst fears come true. And when they do, our brain goes, see, I told you so. It becomes this awful self-reinforcing feedback loop. To put it really simply, when you secretly believe you're going to fail, you subconsciously start doing things that make sure you do. You literally engineer the very outcomes you're terrified of, just so that reality lines up with the negative story you're telling yourself. It's wild, but it happens all the time. Okay, so how in the world do we break out of that cycle? How do we start rebuilding that immune system? Well, it all starts with understanding what healthy self-esteem is actually made of. Turns out, it's not just one thing. It's a formula, and it has two absolutely key ingredients. Yeah, it's not some big, fuzzy, abstract feeling you either have or you don't. Nope. Healthy self-esteem has two very distinct, very important components. And if you're missing one of them, the whole thing is wobbly. All right, here they are. On one side, you've got self-efficacy. This is your core trust in your own mind, your confidence that you can think, you can learn, you can figure things out. This is the I can part of the equation. And then on the other side, you have self-respect. This is the fundamental belief in your own value, in your right to be happy, to be successful. That's the I am worthy part. And listen, you absolutely have to have both. You could be the most talented person in the world, but feel totally unworthy of success, and you'll go nowhere. Or you could feel completely worthy of happiness, but have zero confidence in your ability to actually do anything to get it. Real, solid self-esteem only happens when I can and I am worthy meet. Okay, so we get it now. We know what it is, but how do we build it? This is where we get practical. We have a treatment plan, and I want you to think of it like a workout routine for your mind's immune system. And here's the best part. This is where the power comes right back to you. Self-esteem isn't something you're just born with or without. Not at all. It is the direct result, the consequence of the actions you take day in and day out. It's a practice. It's something you do. And Brandon gives us the complete roadmap for that practice. These 6 pillars, they're the fundamental exercises. Living consciously, self-acceptance, self-responsibility, self-assertiveness, living purposefully, and personal integrity. Now, we're going to do deep dives on all of these later, but the good news is you don't have to wait to get started. In fact, there is a super simple but incredibly powerful first step you can take right now. A first dose, if you will, that actually touches on a few of these pillars all at once. Look, just forget about some huge life-changing event for a second. That's not how this works. Real, lasting change is built brick by brick from the small, conscious choices we make every single day.
So let's start with one tiny choice right now.
I want you to pick one area of your life. It could be your job, a relationship, your health, anything. And just ask yourself this one simple question. If I decided to be just 5% more purposeful in this one area, just for today, what would I do? The key here is not to think big. No. Think small. Think tiny. Think about one concrete action. Maybe it's finally making that phone call you've been putting off. Or maybe it's just getting up and going for a 10-minute walk. That's it. One small, totally achievable action. There's this old Spanish proverb that just nails this whole idea perfectly. It says, "Take what you want," said God, "and pay for it." You can have the things you want, a stronger sense of self, a better life, but you have to pay the price. And in this case, the price isn't money. The price is action. And that small 5% action you just thought of, that's your first payment. So let's end with that thought. What is your first payment? What's the one small thing you can do to be just 5% more conscious, or more responsible, or more purposeful today? The answer to that question? Well, that's your first step on the path.